Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Thailand. Today's story comes from Doug, a 63-year-old American who thought he'd found stability with Nina, a 30-year-old office worker he met on Thai Friendly. He sold his business, packed his bags, and moved into her house in Isian, convinced he'd finally cracked the code to happiness in Thailand. But it all came crashing down over one Facebook photo. It's raw, it's messy, and Doug swears he did nothing wrong. But by the end, you'll have to ask yourself, was he really just unlucky, or was he blind to the truth the whole time? So here's Doug's story, in his own words. Look, I'm not some wide-eyed tourist. I'm 63 years old. I've run crews in 100-degree Florida heat, fixed busted AC units on roofs nobody else would climb, raised 2 kids who barely call. I know what hard work looks like. That's why when I sold my business last year, I promised myself I'd finally live somewhere easy. No more hurricanes, no more endless bills, no more women with lawyers on speed dial. Thailand looked like that ticket. Everybody back home told me it was paradise, and I believed them. Sunshine, cheap living, women who still smile at you. So I did what a lot of guys my age do. I got online. Thai Friendly. Scrolled through faces, tried to figure out who was real and who just wanted a phone. Then there was Nina. She wasn't flashy, didn't post bikini shots. 30 years old, worked in some insurance office, sent me pictures of her desk and her lunch, like she was showing me her normal life. She called me Mr. Doug at first. I liked that. Made me feel respected, not like a mark. 3 months we talked. Every night after dinner, I'd pour a bourbon, sit at my kitchen table and message her while the Florida crickets screamed outside. She asked me about my knees, my grandkids, even my dog that died 5 years ago. Nobody back home asked me those things. She started calling me darling instead of Mr. Doug. That felt, I don't know, safe. Like maybe this time, after 2 divorces and 40 years of sweating, I'd finally landed on someone who'd build a life with me instead of tear it down. That's the headspace I was in when I packed my bags and bought that one-way ticket. I wasn't chasing a party. I wasn't chasing bar girls. I thought I was walking straight into a future with a good woman. And hell, maybe that's why what happened later still stings so bad, because I actually believed it was different this time. I still remember stepping off that bus in Udon Thani like it was yesterday. Not Bangkok, not Phuket, not some postcard beach, just a hot, dusty station where half the people stared at me like I'd taken a wrong turn. And there she was, Nina, 30 years old, hair tied back, plain jeans and a little blouse with flowers stitched on. Not a drop of makeup, but she'd bought a cheap bouquet of roses from some kid on the corner, and she held them out like it was the most natural thing in the world. She wasn't alone either. She'd brought her cousin Somchai, tall guy, arms like tree trunks. He grabbed my suitcase with one hand and hoisted it like it was a backpack, didn't say a word. I was sweating through my polo, trying to shake Nina's hand, but she just leaned in and kissed my cheek, right there in front of everyone. That got me. Not the kiss, but the confidence. Like, this is my man. Take a look. The ride to her place wasn't romantic. We crammed into her little sedan, the kind where the AC groans louder than the engine. Somchai sat in the back, scrolling his phone, while Nina asked if I was hungry, thirsty, tired, excited, all at once. I just kept nodding. Truth is, I was nervous. Florida was 5 flights away, my house was rented out, my truck sold. Everything I owned worth a damn was in that suitcase Somchai was manhandling. When we pulled into her street, I saw the house. A solid 2-story concrete box painted light blue, little front gate, laundry drying on the line. Not a palace, but hers. She told me flat out, "This is my house. You live here now." No question mark at the end, just a statement. And I'll be honest, it felt good. like I was being claimed. After years of women treating me like an ATM or a burden, here was one saying, "Move in, it's yours too." That first night she made me rice soup with pork, plain, nothing fancy. I ate every spoonful like it was filet mignon. She didn't sit across from me like women back home. She sat beside me at the table, knees touching like we were already a couple. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself think, maybe I actually pulled this off. Maybe I didn't blow up my life for nothing. The first couple of weeks were hell, I'll admit it, they were good, real good. Nina had this routine, like clockwork. She'd be up before me, already clattering around in the kitchen. I'd wander downstairs in my boxers and she'd have a pot of rice porridge simmering, pork bits floating on top, and she'd hand me a coffee without asking how I take it. She'd watched me once, saw I dumped in 2 sugars, and after that she just did it, like she was paying attention, you know? That meant something. She introduced me to her co-workers one Friday night. We sat in a noodle shop, 6 of them crowded around, all jabbering in Thai with the occasional English question tossed my way. "Mr. Doug, you like spicy? Mr. Doug, why you come here?" They giggled behind their hands like schoolgirls, and Nina beamed like she'd just won a prize at the fair. I felt proud. Like, look at me. I'm not hiding in Pattaya with a 20-year-old dancer. I've got a proper girlfriend. A respectable one. The house itself wasn't fancy, but damn, it felt like mine. Porch out front with a plastic table, neighbours walking by nodding at me. Some of them stared, sure, but I convinced myself it was curiosity, not judgment. I'd sit out there with a cold singer, watching the neighbourhood kids kick a half-flat football around until the sun went down. Peaceful. Too peaceful sometimes. By 9 o'clock the whole street was dead. I'd find myself pacing, restless, thinking maybe I'd made things a little too quiet for myself. Still, Nina kept me busy. She took me to the market, translating while I fumbled with Bart notes. She laughed when I called cilantro leafy soap. She dragged me along to her niece's birthday party, where I got stuffed with grilled chicken and sticky rice until I thought I'd pop. Those little moments felt solid, like I was weaving into her life, not just floating above it like some tourist. And yeah, I told myself, this was the fresh start, the clean slate. I even called my buddy back in Florida, bragged about how good I had it. She's 30, man, has her own house, cooks me breakfast every day. I think I finally cracked the code. I believed it too, at least until the weekends started creeping in. Here's where things started to drift. See, during the week I played the good husband role. I ate dinner at the table, listened to Nina's work stories, even though half of them sounded like gibberish to me, carried groceries from the car, nodded along when her mum called on speaker. It wasn't bad. It was steady. But come Saturday morning, I got itchy. One of the neighbours, American guy named Rick, older than me but still walking like his knees weren't shot, invited me out for golf. "We play 18, then hit the clubhouse. You'll fit right in," he said, and damn if it didn't feel good to hold a driver again, even if the course looked more like a cow pasture with flags stuck in it. The other expats razzed me, called me rookie, but by the 3rd hole I was laughing with them like I'd known them for years. After golf came beer, always beer. First at the clubhouse, then spilling into town. And here's the thing. Those nights didn't end with polite handshakes. They ended at karaoke bars with neon lights buzzing, pictures of Chang sweating on the table, and girls in too bright lipstick laughing at jokes that weren't funny. It wasn't seedy, not the way people back home picture it. It was loud, messy, human. You buy a girl a drink, she sings a song, she laughs at your accent. That's all. That's what I kept telling myself anyway. I'd stumble back late, sometimes reeking of smoke, but Nina never said much. Just raised her eyebrow, asked, "You enjoy golf?" in that clipped voice of hers. I'd grin, kiss her on the cheek, mutter, "Best round yet." She'd nod, but I could see the little crease in her forehead deepen. And I know what you're thinking. 63 years old, married twice, moving halfway across the world, and I still couldn't just sit still. But understand this, those Saturdays felt like oxygen. Sitting at home in that quiet street, I felt like I was fading out. On the course, in the bar, even with the girls hanging off my arm, I felt alive, like I wasn't done yet. That's the lie I held on to, that it was harmless, that Nina didn't need to know every detail, that smiling in a bar was a different world than loving a woman at home, and for a while, I almost believed my own story. Here's the split, clear as day. Nina's life was built on lists and habits. Saturday mornings, while I was pulling on my golf shoes, she was scrubbing the tile floors with a bucket of soapy water. Sunday afternoons, while I was sipping cold beer at the 19th hole, she was video calling her mother, showing her the repairs she'd made around the house, the curtains she'd bought, the groceries she stretched to last a week. Her world was bills, family, cleaning, stability. Mine was tee-offs, bar stools, and neon. She'd walk around the house with a notepad, writing down things we needed, new fan for the bedroom, medicine for her uncle, paint for the gate. And I'd nod, slip her the cash, and then slide into a taxi that night with my golf buddies, headed for a pub where nobody asked me about light bulbs or laundry. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't sneaking women into her bed. I wasn't crawling out of karaoke rooms at dawn. I was just living a parallel life. Nina thought weekends meant house chores and quiet dinners. I thought weekends meant I'd earned a bit of chaos. Hell, I'd busted my back for 40 years in Florida. Was I not allowed to laugh too loud, to feel young again, to have some 20-year-old giggle when I butchered a Thai song into a microphone? But here's what I couldn't see at the time. Every smile I tossed out in those bars was a crack in the foundation Nina thought we were building. She wasn't stupid. She noticed the smoky shirts, the hangovers I blamed on the sun. She kept it bottled, though. No screaming, no nagging. Just this quiet disapproval, like a low hum in the background. And me? I chose to ignore it, because acknowledging it would mean admitting I was already screwing up the best thing I'd stumbled into in decades. So I played both lives, convinced they'd never collide. Home life with Nina, stable and warm. Weekend life with beer towers and karaoke, loud and fleeting. Two worlds, and I thought I was clever enough to keep them separate. But Thailand has a way of showing you that nothing stays separate for long. If there's one thing I've learned the hard way, it's this. You don't have to be caught in the act to be guilty. All it takes is one picture, one idiot with a phone. It was a Saturday, nothing out of the ordinary. Golf, beer, the usual parade into town. We ended up at this karaoke joint with a broken neon sign buzzing like a mosquito. I wasn't even trying to be wild that night. Hell, I was half dozing after the back nine. Then Mint, one of the younger girls who hung around us, leans in with her phone. "Mr. Doug, picture, picture," she says, giggling. I don't even remember smiling, but sure enough, there I am in the photo, grinning like a fool, arm around Mint's shoulders, big beer tower sweating on the table. She posts it straight to Facebook before I can even blink. Tags me too. That's the part that killed me. Tagged me. Now here's the thing. I didn't think twice. I told myself, Nina doesn't even use Facebook. She works, comes home, calls her mother. She's not scrolling through photos of drunk old men singing Elvis off-key. I figured it'd disappear into the noise, buried under cat pictures and lottery numbers. Except Thailand isn't Florida. Everybody knows everybody. Half the town's on Facebook, and gossip moves faster than any pickup truck. By the next morning, Nina's friend from work had already seen it, shared it, laughed about it. And you know how it goes. Look, Nina's Farang husband having fun? That fun had my arm around a girl half Nina's age. I didn't realise the storm was coming yet. I was still chuckling about my hangover when I walked through Nina's door Sunday evening. She was sitting at the table, phone in hand, face stone cold. And I swear the silence in that room was louder than the karaoke had been. I should have known the second I walked through the door. The house felt off. No TV noise, no smell of food drifting from the kitchen, just this sharp, stale silence. My golf bag hit the tile with a clatter and echoed too long. I called out, "Nina, you here?" But my voice bounced back like the house was empty. Then I saw her, sitting at the kitchen table like she'd been waiting all day, straight-backed, legs crossed, phone gripped tight in her hand. She wasn't scrolling, wasn't distracted. She was locked on me, eyes hard and unblinking. I'd seen women angry before. My ex-wives could slam cabinet doors like gunshots. But this wasn't that. This was surgical. Cold. She turned the phone around, no words at first, just the screen shoved toward me. That damned Facebook photo. Mint leaning against me, head tilted like she owned the space. Me smiling with one arm slung around her like we'd been together for years. A mountain of empty bottles glowing in the background. Finally, Nina spoke. Her voice was low, steady. "You say golf? This golf?" I tried to laugh, even forced a smile, though my stomach dropped. "Oh, come on, Nina." That's nothing. Just the boys cutting loose after 18 holes. Karaoke, beer, you know how it goes. Her stare didn't move, didn't blink. "You tell me." "No, bar girl. You tell me. Only golf." I waved a hand like I could brush the whole thing away. "Sweetheart, it's harmless." She asked for a picture. That's all it was. A bit of fun. "You really gonna throw a fit over a selfie?" Her jaw tightened. Just a flicker, but I caught it. She set the phone down on the table so carefully it barely made a sound. Then she stood, walked down the hall, and I heard the scrape of the closet door. When she came back, she was dragging my suitcase. She didn't toss it, she dropped it with this quiet finality, right in front of the door. "Nina, wait. Don't do this. You're blowing it out of proportion." It was a smile, a beer. I didn't lay a hand on anyone. Her voice was firmer this time, sharp enough to cut. "You lie, you hide, you go, tonight." And that was it. No screaming, no tears, just the sound of neighbours' gates creaking open as I lugged my suitcase down the steps. Old ladies pretending to sweep their porches but staring straight at me. Kids pointing, whispering. Somchai, her cousin, leaned on his truck across the street, arms folded across his chest, giving me a look like I was already guilty and always had been. I tried to smirk, tried to look unfazed, but inside it felt like I'd been stripped naked in the middle of the street. One picture, one stupid picture, and the life I thought I'd built collapsed before I could even think of a decent excuse. The wheels on that old Samsonite rattled like a tin can as I dragged it across Nina's front step. The handle pinched my palm, sweat running down my back, but I kept my chin up like I wasn't being shoved out like yesterday's garbage. Nina didn't follow me to the door. She didn't need to. She'd already closed the book. The last I saw of her was her silhouette in the kitchen doorway, arms folded, head turned away. That hurt more than if she'd screamed. At least, screaming means someone still cares. The neighbourhood was wide awake even though it was near dark. Funny how everyone suddenly finds a reason to be outside when the Farang suitcase comes rolling down the steps. 2 women across the street had brooms in their hands but hadn't moved them in 10 minutes. A teenager perched on his motorbike, grinning like he'd just scored front row seats to the circus. Somchai leaned against his truck, arms crossed, mouth curved into this tiny smirk that said, "Told you so." I wanted to shout, to tell them it wasn't what it looked like, that it was just golf, just beer, just a photo. But the words caught in my throat because even I didn't buy it anymore. So instead, I forced a smirk, gave Somchai a nod like we were equals, like I still had some dignity left. He didn't nod back. He just spat into the dirt and climbed into his truck. The walk to the main road felt longer than it was, wheels catching every crack in the pavement, plastic handle digging into my hand. Kids whispered as I passed, and every whisper sounded like my name. Farang, Facebook, Bar Girl. My ears burned, but I kept moving. Pride was all I had left, and I was holding onto it with bloody fingernails. When I reached the main road, tuk-tuks buzzed past without slowing down. Drivers glanced, saw the suitcase, saw my face, and sped off like they didn't want the bad luck clinging to their seats. Finally, a beat-up Toyota taxi pulled over. The driver leaned out, cigarette stuck to his lip, and said, "Where you go?" And that's when it hit me. I didn't know. I didn't have a plan. My whole world had been that little blue house, Nina's routines, her kitchen table. Now it was gone in 10 minutes. I could have booked a hotel, but hotels feel like layovers, not homes. And I wasn't ready to admit I'd gone from living the dream to checking in at reception with a sad little overnight bag. So I gave the driver the only answer that came to me. Take me to Khon Kaen. City centre? I figured I could disappear in the noise, drown out the shame in neon lights. The driver shrugged, popped the trunk. My suitcase thudded inside, and just like that, I was no longer Nina's man. I was just another old fool in the back of a taxi, watching her town shrink in the rearview mirror, the weight of my own mistakes pressing heavier than that damn suitcase. I didn't land in a hotel like some washed-up tourist. No, within days I had a new place to stay, thanks to Mint. Remember her? The girl in the Facebook photo. 20 years old, karaoke hostess, the kind of girl who can laugh at a joke before you've even finished telling it. She found me sitting at a bar in Khon Kaen 2 nights after Nina tossed me. Same neon sign buzzing, same expats half slumped over their beer towers. She sashayed over, gave me that big grin and said, "Mr. Doug, you alone now?" I could have lied. Could have told her Nina and I were fine, but hell, what was the point? I shrugged and muttered, "Looks that way." Mint didn't miss a beat. She slid onto the stool beside me, like she'd already claimed it, ordered 2 drinks without asking, and just like that, I wasn't sitting alone anymore. Here's what people don't understand. I wasn't looking for trouble. I wasn't prowling. Trouble found me. Mint leaned in close, smelled like cheap perfume and strawberry soda, and she laughed at everything I said. Even the dumb stuff. That night she told me I shouldn't waste money on a hotel. "You stay with me. More fun," she said, tapping her glass against mine. It felt like a lifeline thrown to a drowning man. By the end of the week, I'd moved into her little condo near the bus station. Barely 1 bedroom. Furniture that looked like it came free with the lease, but she made it seem like an upgrade. "Bigger city, more things to do," she chirped, twirling her hair. "You like here better." And for a moment, I believed her. I told myself I'd traded up. New city, younger woman, new chapter. But then there were the little things I couldn't ignore. Mint's phone buzzed constantly, line messages lighting up the screen at all hours. She'd giggle, thumb a quick reply, then flip the phone face down like it was nothing. She teased me about my age too. "Old man can't drink like me," she'd say, patting my stomach. Always with a laugh, but the kind that sticks in your ribs. Still, I brushed it off. Better to laugh with a girl who called me old than sit in a silent house where a woman refused to look me in the eye. Pride's a tricky thing. I told myself mint was proof I still had it, proof I wasn't finished yet, but deep down, even then, I knew I was already clinging to something that didn't belong to me. You know what really eats at me? Everyone acts like I'm the villain here, like I tore down some perfect fairy tale life with my bare hands. Let me set this straight. I didn't cheat. Not once. Not when I was with Nina. I never snuck off to a hotel room, never crawled out of a bar at dawn with lipstick on my collar. All I did was smile for a picture, buy a girl a drink after golf. That's it. If that's cheating in Thailand, then hell, every guy over here ought to be divorced by now. I replay it in my head. Nina's face when she shoved that phone at me. The anger wasn't even loud. It was surgical, clean. She didn't care about what I'd actually done. She cared how it looked. A picture on Facebook embarrassed her, and suddenly I'm out on the street like a stray dog. How's that fair? You spend 3 months building trust, moving your life across the world, and it crumbles over one photo some girl tagged you in. And look, I know what people back home would say. Doug, why'd you even go to those bars? You had a woman. You had a house. But those people never sat in a village where nothing happens past 9 o'clock, where the loudest sound is a rat running around the ground. They don't understand that after 40 years of grinding work, I wanted to feel alive. Golf, beer, karaoke, that wasn't betrayal. That was me breathing again. I tell myself Nina overreacted, that she showed her true colours, controlling, jealous, maybe not cut out to be with a farang after all, and some nights that helps me sleep. I'll pour a whiskey in Mint's cramped little kitchen, tell myself I dodged a bullet, that I'm better off with a girl who doesn't care if I smile too wide in a photo. But then other nights, when Mint's glued to her phone, giggling at messages she won't let me see, I catch myself wondering if I spun it wrong. Maybe it wasn't jealousy. Maybe it was her drawing a line in the sand saying I don't share. And I blew it by pretending my little adventures were harmless. Still, I can't admit that out loud. Not to Nina, not to Mint, not even to myself most of the time. So I stick to the story. I didn't do anything wrong. Nina couldn't handle it. She's the one who quit, not me. Living with Mint wasn't the upgrade I sold myself it was. At first, I told everyone, even myself, that I'd landed on my feet. New city, younger woman, more excitement. But day by day, the shine wore off. Her condo looked sharp in photos, but up close, it was a cheap rental. The walls were thin. The air conditioner rattled like it was dying, and the furniture wobbled if you leaned on it too hard. Still, Mint strutted around like it was high society. She snapped selfies in the bathroom mirror, changed outfits 3 times before leaving the house, and never once seemed embarrassed that she had me paying for all of it. Money disappeared faster than I could track it. Rent, electric, Wi-Fi, all in my name now. Mint needed new clothes for work, then a better phone, because this one too slow cannot line. She wanted nights out too, not just with me. She'd drag me along with her friends, 4 or 5 20-year-olds crammed around a table, ordering bottle service like we were celebrities. They'd laugh, take photos, clink glasses, and I'd sit there doing the math in my head as the bill crept higher and higher. I kept swiping my card anyway. Pride wouldn't let me say no. I'd rather bleed cash than admit to myself, or worse, to Nina, that I'd gone from a respectable house in a quiet town to bankrolling a karaoke hostess and her drinking buddies. And the worst part, Mint never said thank you, not once. It wasn't cruelty, it was indifference. Like it was expected. like I'd signed some invisible contract the second I moved in. She'd coo, "Mr. Doug, you so kind," give me a little kiss on the cheek, and then scroll her phone while I paid the bill. Her attention was like a faucet, on when she needed something, off the rest of the time. I'd sit there trying to tell myself it was worth it, that I was still in the game, still living the dream. But every time I checked my bank app, reality punched me in the gut. Retirement savings draining month by month, and all I got in return was Mint's distracted smile and the echo of her laughter as she texted God knows who on that shiny new phone I bought her. It hit me one night harder than I care to admit. Mint was sitting cross-legged on the bed, face lit up by her phone. She was laughing, tapping away with those long painted nails, and I knew damn well those messages weren't for me. I asked, half joking, "Who's making you laugh like that?" She didn't even look up, just said, "Friend birthday group," and kept typing. I sat there in the dark, the glow of her screen flashing across the wall, and for the first time it sank in. I was the oldest man in the room, no matter where I went. With Nina, I'd felt anchored, like I was part of something steady. With Mint, I felt like a wallet that could walk. My old golf buddies didn't help. They stopped calling me up for rounds, stopped tagging me in their little pub meetups. When I did see them, they had that look, the smirk, the shake of the head. One of them muttered, "Trading a house for a bar stool, Doug?" Bold move, and they all laughed. I laughed too, pretended it rolled off, but it burned all the way home. I tried reaching out to Nina once. Just one message online. "Hope you're okay. I miss you." No reply. Not even the read receipt. She'd blocked me, shut the door completely. That cut deeper than I let on. So now my evenings were spent in a condo that smelled of take-out noodles, Mint's giggles in one corner and my silence in the other. I'd pour myself a whiskey, stare out at the city lights and tell myself this was still better, more exciting, more alive, but in the quiet moments I felt hollow, not angry, not even guilty, just empty. It's a strange kind of loneliness having someone lying right beside you but feeling like you're already invisible. And the worst part? I knew I'd done it to myself. I had a woman who actually cared, and I traded her for neon lights and the illusion of youth. So that's where I've ended up, 63 years old, retired, and living in a condo I pay for, but don't control. Beside a girl who giggles into her phone at messages from God knows who, while I sit there like a fool footing the bills. And everyone wants to point at me, wag their finger, say I ruined my life. Number. Let me be clear, I didn't ruin anything. I didn't cheat. I didn't sneak around. I didn't cross any line. A picture on Facebook did more damage than anything I ever actually did. That's on Nina, not me. She's the one who couldn't handle it. She threw me out like trash over a smile and a beer. If that's loyalty, then maybe I never had it in the first place. And Mint? Well, Mint turned out to be worse. At least Nina had her own house, her own job, some pride. Mint just wanted upgrades, a new phone, new clothes, nights out with her friends that I always ended up paying for. She bled me dry while pretending I was some big catch. She called me Mr. Doug with that sweet little voice, but the second my card hit the table, she was already on to the next shiny thing. So tell me, who's the villain here? The guy who played a few rounds of golf and smiled for a photo, or the women who threw him out and used him up? I'm sick of carrying the blame. I came here for peace, and instead I got punished for nothing. People love to say cheating destroyed my life, not me. What destroyed mine were two women who never saw me for who I was, a man who just wanted to enjoy his retirement without being treated like a criminal or an ATM. That's the truth, whether anyone likes it or not. So that's Doug's story, and you can hear it plain as day. A man convinced he did nothing wrong, yet somehow he ended up losing everything. Nina showed him the door over a single Facebook photo, and Mint kept it open just long enough to bleed him dry. Was Doug really innocent, or just blind to his own mistakes? That's for you to decide. What's clear is this: Thailand didn't destroy Doug's life. Pride, excuses, and the company he chose did the job all on their own. If you've been through something like this, or seen it happen, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you feel sorry for Doug, or do you think he got exactly what was coming? And if you want more raw stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe. There are plenty more emails waiting to be told. Thanks for watching Inside Thailand. See you in the next one.